So in the last video, I showed you how to read from a file. And in this one, I want to go through how to write to a file. So you'll see the big difference is over here, there used to be an R and now I've put a W. So that means write to a file. So if we look at this text file here, we've got hello and welcome to the test file. This is just for testing purposes. Good luck. What I want to do is I want to write to this file. So I've opened the file. Then I need to do test file.write. And anything I put in here, it will write to the file. So if I say, this is a new line for our file. Full stop. Then again, good practice. When you finish with it, close it. Now when I run this, let me just copy this text. You'll understand why in a second. When I run this, you'll see it's actually overwritten everything that's in the file, because when you have write permissions, that's exactly what you're usually needing to do. So if you imagine in your program, you maybe read a load of data from the file, you've then throughout your program changed that data, and then maybe before the end, you want to write all that data back, effectively overwriting everything that was there. That's what write permissions give you. Now, if you wanted to make something like a diary, where you want to continually add data to it, you don't want write permissions, you want A for append permissions. So if I go back here and I paste the old data in, there's something that's going to happen here that you might find a bit strange, but I'll explain it. So if I run this, that line there has been added, but it's been added here, look. So it's not deleted the old data, so that's great, that's what we wanted. But it got added, literally joined to the last line, which might not have been what we intended. So the way we get around that, and I'll explain why, is to do with these hidden characters. So this is what the file looked like. And notice the flashing cursor, which is where any new data will go, is on line 3. And I should have pressed enter, and then it will be on line 4. And then if I run it, the new data's on a new line. But then the problem is, if I was to run it again, now I'm still stuck on this line, look. So the question is, how do I make it go on to the next line so that any new data goes onto its own line? It's actually really straightforward. Let me go back. So let's go back to that. Let's assume that our file looked like that. We want to add new lines, but we want to make sure we're ready for the next line every time on somewhere new. Well, I told you the hidden character for a new line is a \n. I can put that inside my string and the text file will use it like it has done with the hidden characters. So when I run this, it's on a new line. But notice, look, line 5's appeared because the cursor's actually waiting here. Although it looks like it's there, it's actually ready for new data here. So if I was to run it a couple more times, you can see they're all on new lines. So that's how to write to a file, but remember, write means overwrite as well. And A means append. The only other thing it's probably worth mentioning is if you wanted to make a new file. So if you have write permissions and we have a different file name, what happens when you run it? If you watch my directory here, when I run it, it's made a new file for me. Okay, so if you ever run with write permissions and you use the name of a file that doesn't exist, it will create it for you, which is often really, really useful. So that's how you can also make files on the fly within your program. So you might want a file for, I don't know, different users or something like that. Okay, because they're saving their game, for example. If you're making a game, you might want to allow them to save it and call it by a name. And then again, in other videos, I'll show you how you can pull data from the file directory that you're in, so you can find out what files exist and things like that. So that is how to write to a file. I've done reading from a file. I've just got a couple more I want to do around files and directories.